Welcome to United Network News, the official news channel for CARE, the Center for Amity and Restoration of Earth. I'm Sunny Galt. At UNN, you get the real news. Through our field messengers, we show you the truth about what's really taking place in our communities. We also bring you stories to help you remember who you are and why you're here, as well as regional stories that impact the people. And our World Situation Report reveals what's happening throughout the multiverse. We are here to restore Earth. In the U.S., it is Wednesday, January 31st, 2024. We're going to Thailand to visit these big guys. An elephant foundation rescued them out in the wild, many times saving their lives. And in Queensland, Australia, this peaceful duck pond is a sanctuary for all types of wildlife. We'll get up close and personal with some of these feathered visitors. In the new Earth, we're learning more about our children, many of whom are here to help us through humanity's important transition. And a youth group in India goes out of their way to show some love to the elderly in their community.
This is Calen Gipp, messenger for United Network News. Here's a look at today's field messenger reports from all around the world. The elephant is the national animal of Thailand. Today we visit an elephant foundation and meet some adorable rescued elephants. UNN field messenger Natalie shares her fun-filled day with these beautiful animals.
This is Field Messenger Natalie in Hua Hin, Thailand, and today I'm going to take you to the Hudsadin Elephant Foundation. I'm going to interview one of the volunteers and then we're going to meet the elephants. Hello, this is Sandra, a volunteer here at the Elephant Foundation. Can you tell us a little bit about the foundation?
Yes, of course. The foundation started in 2007 and it started by 3 Chinese Thai businessmen. As you can see, the site is a spiritual site because they practice Chinese Buddhism here, which is slightly different from Thai Buddhism. The foundation itself was set up to look after elephants. The foundation doesn't receive government funding, so it relies on visitors coming to the centre and paying to do a walk around, to have a look around, to do elephant walks and showers, and also for the education package. All costs approximately 3,000 baht per elephant per day to feed them. This is Bonnie. He is approximately 78 years of age. He has no teeth. So if he was in the wild, he'd have died many years ago. But because he's in the foundation, they can mix and give him food that he can eat. This is Songkran. She's our youngest elephant. She's approximately 16, 17 years of age. What was happening is she was being used for the tourist industry and she was found on the beach going into the water with visitors riding on her back. This is Tongkran. She's approximately 56 years of age. She was working on a farm. He knew that she was being mistreated and he purchased her from the farmer. That's it. That's it, you're not getting more. Come on, you need to eat the bananas. Can we get her to say thank you? I've only got 2 more.
That's it.
Next time you're in Thailand, visit one of the elephant foundations to help support the elephants. I hope you enjoyed this report. See you next time.
Located in the charming town of Gympie in Queensland, Australia, the Duck Pond is a peaceful sanctuary for native wildlife and a relaxing place for the local community. UNN field messenger Rosemary shows us around this beautiful place.
I'm Rosemary from Gympie in Queensland, South Australia. I just wanted to share with you the beautiful area that's called the Duck Pond. And we have a fortnightly market at the Duck Pond. It's a little bit quiet because it's just been Christmas and New Year, but it's a beautiful place and lots of families come with their children. And they combine picnicking with the Duck Pond. It's a big park and it's in numerous different areas for the birds of all different varieties to come and nest. We have black swans, geese, and many, many birds. And this is the beautiful duck pond. And it's just not for ducks, there are so many different birds here. And out in the middle there are islands, and on these islands is where many of the birds nest. All the babies. Same from dogs, cats, out on the island. There's a no feeding the birds policy here, but the swans, I think, get fed pretty well with children and pieces of bread. So they're very happy to come over when we come near the bank. So just in case there's some food to be thrown. There's majestic swans taking a rest. Every tree has birds in it. On one of the quieter ponds of the lake, birds come down here to rest, possibly nest. I hope you've enjoyed having a little look around pond themselves, or the beautiful bird life from here in Gympie, Queensland in Australia.
We want you to become a UNN field messenger. These are everyday people just like you who want to make a difference in their community. You don't need any special training or equipment. Just use the camera on your mobile phone and show us what's happening in your area. You send us your videos and our production team will create the report for you. For ideas and inspiration, we encourage you to join our new Field Messenger group on Telegram. Our new website is now up and running at unitednetwork.earth. You can submit your Field Messenger reports directly through the Field Messenger tab at the top of the page. You can also email your reports to our new email address at fieldmessenger@unitednetwork.earth.
Hello, I'm Susan from Sweden.
Mwanda Michael from Eastern Uganda, Africa.
Hi, I'm Tim from Vancouver, Canada.
I'm Titeshwar Fagao from Manipur State, India. I'm Gumba Obasi from Southeast Nigeria.
Arnaito Chakrini from Western Uganda, Mbarara.
At United Network News, you are the news.
My name's Christina, Field Messenger, report first one in the hurricane down here in Southern California from Mexico.
Real people reporting real stories from all around the world. At UNN, our field messengers are changing the face of news.
This is Jason from United Network News. We're going to be doing some air creep building with new technologies that allow us to live in comfort and also off the grid.
Take the next step in changing the way the world gets the news. Become a UNN field messenger today.
I am Michelle from South Africa, and we are the United Network News.
I am United Network News.
I'm United Network News.
If it is going to be, then it's up to me.
If it's going to be, it's up to me.
Si va a ser así, depende de mí. It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to me.
It's up to all of us. We're UNN.
Transitioning to the new Earth is a bit of an adjustment for most of us. But what about our children? If you're a parent or caregiver, you may have noticed that the souls incarnating on this planet recently are a little bit different. Many were sent here to help us through our ascension. Carrie Kay has a popular YouTube channel that gives straight talk about spiritual truths, such as ascension, energy, timelines, manifestation, and the false matrix. We recently discussed how our children are here to help us anchor the light as we make this transition. So today we're talking about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure very near and dear to Carrie's heart as well, and that is our children. Carrie, we're both moms, and I see it in my children every day. It's like they are wired to be here on this planet at this time for a very specific purpose.
And we're under the illusion, Sunny, that we are their teachers, and the truth is they are
ours. They are here to wake us up. They're here to teach humanity what they have not lost touch with and haven't forgotten that we have. We are the ones in amnesia, and they are the ones who only have partial amnesia. It's kind of like with each generation, the amnesia got lighter and lesser and lighter and lesser until this current generation who've come in so purpose-driven. They've come in. Now, a lot of us will relate to this because we had little wafts of this in our childhood. That is, they've come in with a sense of, what is wrong with this world?
Yes.
Why do people behave this way? Why does everybody condone it? It's like they're walking around as if they're in a movie and they're going, hold on, this doesn't make sense. Now, we had that little wafts, but they don't have wafts. They've got that streaming in stereo, and it doesn't stop, and it's 24/7, and they can't ignore it. We could, they can't. And that's a frequency thing. There's a group of people on the planet, and they call themselves starseeds. And there's a beautiful story about starseeds, right? And it's also the story of the light worker, and that is that they're on a rescue mission to come to this planet to wake up the ones who forgot that they were meant to wake up. There were some who came to this planet, in fact, not some, most, came to the false matrix and got so sucked into the amnesia that it became impossible to wake them up. So the starseeds and the light workers came in on the rescue mission. Now these children, they've come in as another level of rescue for the starseeds and the light workers. So in other words, they are the level of support that the starseeds and light workers didn't even know that they needed, didn't even remember praying for, didn't even remember asking for. They are a level of reinforcement, and they've been able to come in because of the light workers and the starseeds. They initiated the work of making the planet ready, making humanity's hearts and minds just slightly more open to higher consciousness. The children came in to say, okay, let's take this a whole level deeper now. So they're doing something so amazing. And we talk about New Earth, right? We talk about this new reality that we're in the process of creating. We may be the pioneers of that new Earth, but they are the inhabitants. It's created for them. It's their world, and they know it because they're all born with a vision of what Earth should look like. They know it's not this. They know it's not fighting. They know it's not competitive. They know it's not power struggles. Many of them will have a hard time, though, telling you what it is in words. But in energy, in frequency, they know that place because they go to that place when they dream. They go to that place when they're silent and still and meditative. Even if it's just for a split second here and a split second there, something in them at a very, very deep level knows because they're holding the blueprint for New Earth. We're trying to read the map, and we're getting ourselves a bit lost, you know.
Yeah.
But they hold the blueprint in their cellular memory. They're amazing beings. And you know what? When I saw these new kids coming in, Sunny, I said to myself, we'll be fine. We'll be good.
Yeah.
All my worries about humanity are taken away because I can see what's coming in right now with these children. We're good. We're in good hands.
Is it on a subconscious level? Because some of my own children fall into this category, right? And I can see them struggling with the world as it is now. But if I were to go to them and say, oh, this is what's going on, they'd look at me like I had four heads. Are they even, do they even realize who they are and what they're doing at this time?
It depends very much on the frequency that they grow up in.
Okay.
If they grow up around high frequency conversations, they kind of let that part of them loose, and they're very easy to adapt to that level of normal. If they grow up around a lot of closed-minded people or unconscious people, they're going to mimic the behavior of the adults. That's what they're going to do. But they're going to find it easier and easier to adapt to an awakened parent, to the point that they won't have to even undergo an awakening. One day it'll just be obvious. One day they'll go, oh, what was I thinking? You know, for us, a spiritual awakening for an adult is bells and whistles and lights and unicorns and, you know, it's a whole experience. For them, it's a very subtle shift. It's a very, very subtle shift. So they can look as if they're asleep and say, Mom, you've got 4 heads. What are you on, Mom? Let's have a talk about what you're doing after hours. They can have that approach to your spirituality.
Yeah.
But their adaptability to higher frequency is beyond anything that we had access to. They may think it's crazy today, but tomorrow they can dive right in to that stream of higher consciousness as if they always lived there. That's the annoying thing about them.
It's easy for them.
Oh, yeah, it's so easy. We're going to look at it and go, I struggled for that. I worked so hard to know what you just blinked your eyes and remembered, you know?
Yeah. In India, a thoughtful youth group known as the Goodfellows is making a difference in the lives of elderly citizens by connecting them with young volunteers. Many elderly have reported feeling isolated with their doorbell hardly ringing. This initiative aims to tackle loneliness amongst seniors, especially those who are alone due to the absence of a spouse or close family members. This compassionate movement was founded by 3 young individuals who had a shared affection for spending time with their grandparents. Presently, they have a team of 65 young adults between 18 and 24 and 400 elderly participants registered. Elders are registered as a Grandpal seeking a good fellow. The selection process includes an interview to understand the cognitive abilities and interests of the senior to be sure of a compatible pairing. The experiences shared by 2 young volunteers reveals the fulfilling nature of this service. One volunteer recounted a time when he spent 3 hours assisting his grandpal to find the perfect pair of shoes. Another grandpal found joy in writing her memoirs, assisted by her tech-savvy good fellow. The pairings often last until the grandpal's final days, and during this time, good fellows are encouraged to take leave to mourn and care for their mental well-being. The seniors are filled with hope and anticipation as they look forward to visits with their good fellows. The loving relationships enrich the lives of both parties, and grandpals receive companionship and fun. The good fellows gain wisdom from these lifetime experiences of their elderly friends. In an amazing sequence of events, identical twins from the country of Georgia have been reunited thanks to the power of social media. The twins, Amy and Ano, were separated at birth and adopted by different families, never knowing of each other's existence. This remarkable story began unfolding a decade ago when Amy spotted a girl that looked identical to her on the TV show Georgia's Got Talent. However, the striking resemblance was brushed off as a mere coincidence. The puzzle pieces started to fall into place when a friend found a TikTok video of a blue-haired girl who bore a striking resemblance to Ano. To find the girl in the video, Ano asked a university WhatsApp group for help. By a stroke of luck, someone in the group knew Amy, and the two were connected via Facebook. After a meeting at a local train station and noting their uncanny similarities, the pair began to question their origins. Both girls had been adopted as newborns and shared a love for dance. DNA tests and further investigations eventually confirmed them as twins, and they also discovered 2 more siblings. As they continue to uncover more details about their past, the twins are sharing their story now with the world. This heartwarming story is an example of how social media can serve as a potential and very powerful tool for connections and reunions. In a creative collaboration, Positive News, a pioneering media outlet, and a top outdoor advertising company are working together to bring inspiring news to millions across Britain. The partnership aims to inspire communities and will spotlight various topics, including medical advancements, renewable energy innovations, and wildlife conservation successes. Every week, a hand-picked collection of socially relevant good news stories, will be displayed on more than 3,500 digital advertising screens. This initiative aims to highlight constructive stories from the UK, often overlooked by traditional news outlets or social media, linking people, communities, and organizations striving to make a positive impact in the world. The partnership offers an empowering alternative to traditional news, which often tends to promote negative narratives. This exciting initiative provides a refreshing change, proving that it's not all doom and gloom and that significant positive changes are happening too. The goal is to provide credible alternative news content to local communities and bring more positivity into people's everyday lives. This partnership comes at a time of increasing demand for news content that focuses on positive responses to problems, rather than just the problems themselves. The aim is to put a smile on people's faces, shedding light on the incredible amount of positive change happening in the world. Want to share news from UNN with your friends and family? Memes are a great way to get that conversation going, and here is today's UNN meme of the day. It says, tuning into abundance. A huge shift is happening on our planet right now, and we are now in a light age, so there is no more need to live in lack. It is time to embrace our abundance. To see more memes just like this one, you can follow our Meme Team Telegram channel at UNN Memes. Share them on Telegram and any other social media channels where you still have an account. Welcome to United Network News. I'm Sunny Galt.
Connect with United Network News online. The news portion of our website at unitednetwork.earth recaps the biggest stories impacting our planet. You can also watch inspiring videos from our field messengers and get great tips for creating your own field messenger reports. Easily share all of this content with your friends in just a few clicks, including our social media memes designed to ignite conversation and critical thinking. It's time to restore our home. Let's make history together at unitednetwork.earth.
Now, a look at regional stories around the world. 10,000 patients in Ontario are losing their health care benefits due to a shortage of doctors and nurses. This local issue represents a much bigger problem in the country. UPS announces major layoffs due to declining revenue. This after the company made a tentative agreement with the Teamsters Union. In Egypt, restoration is underway on one of the major pyramids, and social media isn't very happy about it. And these little guys are captivating visitors at local cafes in Japan. Getting a little squeal with your meal helps improve your heart and reduce stress. In Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, the Group Health Centre is set to release 10,000 patients from its care due to a severe shortage of doctors and nurse practitioners. The clinic, unable to recruit sufficient medical staff after several retirements and departures, has struggled despite outreach to the Ministry of Health. The Ontario government signaled forthcoming expansions to primary care teams, but these are not immediate solutions. The local situation reflects a larger crisis, with more than 2 million Ontarians without primary care physicians and many doctors contemplating retirement. Local officials and healthcare professionals are calling on the government for immediate aid and warning that the current trend of scarce primary care could lead to widespread healthcare crisis in rural areas. A recent investigation reveals prisoners in the U.S. being used as cheap labor to make major farms across the country more profitable. Farms across states like Texas, Virginia, Kentucky, and Montana have sold more than $60 million in cattle as a result of this work. The complex system sees this livestock being auctioned, often exclusively online, and ending up in the supply chains of major fast food outlets and supermarkets. Meanwhile, those incarcerated, a majority being Black men, labor in strenuous conditions to raise these animals, earning meager wages, and their work contrasts sharply with the poor quality of food provided to them while being incarcerated. The situation has sparked legal action, with inmates arguing that they are being exploited for cheap and unpaid labor in what they describe as modern-day slavery. While prison officials defend these programs as opportunities for rehabilitation and skill building, questions about the ethics and legality of prison labor persist, especially as it intertwines with for-profit motives. UPS has announced the layoff of approximately 12,000 employees due to a sharp decline in revenue. The Atlanta-based parcel service aims to save nearly $1 billion through this workforce cut, affecting less than 3% of its total employees. Affected positions have yet to be disclosed, but UPS has assured that union-represented roles, including drivers, will remain intact. Around 75% of the job cuts are scheduled for the first half of 2024 as the company aligns its operations to meet current business demands. UPS is preparing to support those losing their jobs with severance and outplacement assistance. This downsizing follows a tentative agreement with the Teamsters Union to avoid what could have been one of the largest strikes in U.S. history. Public state universities in the U.S., known as flagship institutions, are dramatically altering their admissions landscape, enrolling fewer in-state freshmen in favor of out-of-state students. This shift, seen in 45 of the 50 major public universities during the past 20 years, stems from the higher tuition fees collected from non-residents. The University of Alabama and the University of Arkansas and others have reduced in-state freshman enrollment by more than 40 percentage points in 2 decades. As a result, local taxpayers who contribute to the funding of these institutions may find their children having diminished chances of being admitted. The evolution reflects a move towards financial stability for the universities, but raises questions about their commitment to serving the educational needs of the state's residents. Despite these trends, several universities are maintaining or increasing in-state student proportions, signaling a complex narrative in higher education. Rail strikes continue to disrupt travel across Britain despite new legislation aimed at maintaining minimum services. The Strikes Act has yet to be effectively implemented by train operators, leaving many commuters facing challenges in their daily travel. While the law sets a minimum service level during strikes, operators have chosen not to enforce this, citing the need for operational assessments to provide the best possible service under these circumstances. Frequent travel disruptions have become a regular occurrence for the British public, with little relief in sight despite advancements in addressing pay disputes in other sectors. The government insists that companies use the new law effectively to protect passenger interests and promises further exploration of how to enhance the legislation. However, concerns from unions suggest that imposing minimum service levels might lead to more frequent strikes. Residents of a small village in northwestern Denmark face a serious environmental threat as a landslide of contaminated soil moves closer to their homes. The landslide, composed of soil tainted with heavy metals and oil, originated from a reprocessing plant operated by the now bankrupt Nordic Waste. Efforts to contain the slide include rerouting a stream and constructing protective structures, but the mix of rain and melting snow complicates the situation. With local water sources at risk, authorities race to prevent the soil from entering the Baltic Sea connected waterways. The Danish government insists the polluters should pay for the remediation, while the impact on local inhabitants and eco-activism in the area continues to stir national debate on corporate environmental accountability. Nearly 1/3 of France's mineral water brands have been treating their products with methods reserved for tap water, despite legal prohibitions against such practices. This situation arose to public attention following Nestle's acknowledgement of using unauthorized methods like ultraviolet light and active carbon filters on well-known brands such as Perrier and Vittel. In line with a directive from the European Union, French law requires that mineral water, which is expected to be of inherently superior quality, must not undergo disinfection treatments. While the government maintains that these findings have not posed any health risks to consumers, the public remains concerned about the potential implications of such regulated breaches by trusted water brands. England and Wales have experienced the most significant number of company insolvencies since 1993, with more than 25,000 closures in the past year. The economic strain on UK businesses has been immense due to soaring interest rates, energy costs, and wage demands, coupled with reduced consumer spending amid high inflation. Optimistically, inflation rates are expected to stabilize near the central bank's target, which may lead to interest rate reductions by mid-year. Despite these challenges, the insolvency rate is lower than in the recession, hinting at a resilient economy. The economic downturn has had far-reaching effects on communities, with job losses and diminished consumer services as local businesses fold. Scotland and Northern Ireland, operating under separate legal systems, also report the highest insolvency figures in nearly a decade, indicating widespread economic pressures across the UK. In Egypt, the restoration efforts at the historic Menkaure Pyramid have sparked significant controversy amongst citizens and experts alike. Now, this is the smallest of the three pyramids at Giza. Social media platforms have seen a surge of critical comments following the release of a video showcasing the renovation process. Many are concerned about the methods used, fearing that the changes may detract from the pyramid's historic value. Egyptologists have openly criticized the project, with some calling for immediate action to preserve the integrity of the nation's heritage. The backlash is part of a broader tension in Egypt regarding conservation practices, which have been a contentious topic due to the recent destruction of historic Cairo regions and the controversial repainting of a renowned mosque from the 15th century. With tourism as a key economic pillar, Egypt's heritage management remains a critical yet deeply polarizing issue for both professionals and the public. Niger has launched a new 30-megawatt solar power facility to mitigate severe electricity shortages experienced by its residents in the nation's capital and surrounding regions. The shortages began when Nigeria, which previously supplied 70% of Niger's electricity, ceased its supply in response to a military coup. This move has led to months of frequent power outages, affecting daily life and business operations. The French embassy has cautioned that there may be operational risks due to the rushed completion of the plant after many expatriate staff left the country post-coup. Despite the challenges, this solar project, costing almost $33 million and partially funded by the French Development Agency and the EU, represents a critical step towards energy independence for Niger. Kenya continues to lead the way in geothermal energy investment in Africa, setting a high standard for neighboring countries. Kengen, the majority government-owned utility company, is at the forefront of this effort, driving economic growth and providing employment opportunities in the region. The inexpensive electricity generated from geothermal plants could mean lower energy costs for local households and businesses. Despite the high initial investment costs associated with this green technology, the Kenyan government has mitigated financial risks through the establishment of the Geothermal Development Company in 2008. This initiative has encouraged further exploration and development partnerships, leading to substantial economic benefits for the nation. In addition to fostering regional expertise that is now being sought after across the continent, Kenya's leadership in geothermal technology provides a model for sustainable energy development that other African countries are beginning to follow. France is now allowing African veterans from former colonies to receive their retirement benefits while living full-time in their home countries. Previously, these veterans, many of whom were recruited to fight in wars such as World War II, had to reside in France for at least 6 months every year to be eligible for their pensions. The policy shift has been met with relief and gratitude amongst veterans and their families, as it will enable them to live in their native lands without forfeiting their financial security after years of serving under French command. The decision currently impacts 20 of the surviving 40 recognized African veterans, with the expectation that the remaining veterans will soon receive approval as well. South African Airways, or SAA, is attempting to make a comeback. The company underwent significant restructuring, including a government-led sale of a majority stake to the Takatso Consortium. This decision secures job stability for the staff and promises a shift towards financial independence. Despite parliamentary scrutiny over the sales procedures and the necessity of meeting certain conditions, the airline persists in its expansion plans. To be self-sufficient, SAA's new management is prioritizing profitable routes and a strategic fleet development that resonates with the global aviation industry's recovery from COVID. While SAA's plan, including strengthening its presence in African and international skies, operational costs, regulatory obstacles, and market risks present substantial challenges. A Brazilian court is mandating mining giants Vale and BHP, along with their Samarco venture, to pay nearly $10 billion in damages for the catastrophic 2015 tailings dam disaster in Mariana. The collapse unleashed toxic mud that claimed 19 lives and devastated the Rio Doce River ecosystem, affecting communities all the way to the Atlantic coast. Officials have yet to determine the exact liability of each company, but the funds are destined for a state-managed initiative supporting restoration and compensation efforts for those impacted. The companies, which have the option to appeal, are yet to receive formal notification of this decision. The ongoing crisis within Israel's agricultural sector has left Thai agricultural workers in a tough spot as they face the choice between returning to a conflict-prone area and staying in poverty in their home country. A significant labor shortage has struck Israel's farmland, particularly in regions near the Gaza Strip, which is considered the nation's vegetable hub. This shortage is primarily due to the Israeli government's decision to withdraw work permits for Palestinian farm workers, as well as the risks involved with the recent conflict in the area. Many Thai workers have found themselves financially strained and indebted due to the lack of employment opportunities back home. Some, having already endured the toll of the conflict, remain hesitant to return despite the pressing need to support their families. Israeli authorities and NGOs are actively working to provide aid and emotional support to those affected, but the solutions are still not reaching everyone in need. In Southeast Asia, more than 200,000 individuals are being coerced into cyber scamming. That's according to a new report. Trafficking gangs are misleading people with job offers abroad, then forcing them to participate in fraudulent activities such as cryptocurrency scams. Victims from Asia, East Africa, and other regions are kept in compounds with their travel documents seized. Despite rescue efforts, survivors can face legal challenges as protections against forced criminality are inadequate in many Southeast Asian nations. The report calls for improved legislation to recognize forced criminality and for better law enforcement conduct to protect victims. In Japan, animal-themed cafes continue to captivate visitors, with the Pig Cafe emerging as the latest trend. At Tokyo's My Pig Cafe, I think that's how it's pronounced, makes sense, people find solace in the company of miniature micro pigs, small enough to curl up in a customer's lap. Visitors, charmed by the unique personalities and the companionship of these tiny animals, frequently decline beverages to spend time with their swine friends. Despite the attraction, some express concerns over the welfare of these cafe animals, worried by the unnatural conditions and possible stress due to constant human contact. Amid the adorable chaos, health experts chime in, asserting that such interactions have significantly improved human health by reducing stress and cardiovascular risks. The pig cafes, while fascinating, stir a conversation on ethical treatment and the profound human-animal bond. Want the latest updates from UNN? Be sure to follow our channel on Telegram called United Network News Channel. This is our official Telegram channel. It's where you'll find direct links to our newscasts and our in-depth field messenger reports. And be sure to check out CARE's new Health and Wellness Department. You can connect with the Center for Health and Wellness of Earth, or CHWE community, by joining their Telegram channel. Search for Center for Health Wellness of Earth. And now, the World Situation Report with Kimberly Gogan from the Office of the Guardian. Where exactly was the chemtrail headquarters for all of planet Earth? Well, we found it, and the conductor of the orchestra. What happened when he found out there was no pay and that he had been released as an asset of the Order of the Black Sun? Ceasefire negotiations are underway in Iraq, Syria, Israel, Gaza, and more as news leaks out in local mainstream media. Here's what's really going on behind the scenes. And what exactly is financial freedom? All this and more in today's World Situation Report. Now here's Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian. Hello, Kim. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's technical difficulty day over here.
Yeah, a little bit. We got through it.
I know. Someone didn't want me to say something, I guess.
Yep.
Well, it's been a big few days. From the last time we talked, there were a lot of operatives that were, had been released, and then we were waiting to see if the order of the black nobility, I should say, released their downline, which turns out by Monday afternoon they had.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that they have given up completely and totally. They're still looking for some way to regain some kind of control. They're not trying to control their downline right now, but they're definitely looking to see if there's any options. So after this release of all of the assets, there's been a lot of conversations happening between operatives worldwide. Mm-hmm. It seems to be that most of them are ready to move forward, ready to do something different. They feel like they're free agents. Now, the way that the system worked is on this level, there were certain operatives that would have been in charge of certain areas. So they would have been like a handler to even the Pentagon, or a handler to GCHQ, or a handler for other countries' agencies or militaries on behalf of the Order of the Black Sun. So before, you could say technically they would relay the orders or orchestrate things via militaries worldwide directly with the militaries or agencies. These would be people to include, but not limited to, Langley 5 and some others on that level, and the operatives that work for them. So as they were having talks yesterday in the afternoon, this is when they had scheduled a worldwide meeting. Mm-hmm. So initially it was just little groups, groups here, groups in other locations around the world were having their own internal meetings on what does this mean and where do we want to go. Because it's a little bit shaky in that sense. So they then were having their worldwide meeting, and in pops Rothschild's representatives. Yes, from Monarch Military. And they came on singing Songs of Sunshine and that we understand, you've been left in the cold by your former organization, but we're here to help you. And they offered them all kinds of big money and wonderful dreams of partnership, and not controlling, but a partnership. We could be real partners now, and all of these types of things. But so the operatives basically came back and said, okay, well, that sounds all lovely. That is amazing. And when will we be receiving all of this? And they promised them by midnight on Friday that they would have received all of this. So the operatives are like, okay, well, what's a couple of days? So now it's almost like they feel that they are a commodity out there in the market. So yesterday in the evening, I got a phone call, and I wouldn't say it was from someone that's kind of directly involved, but someone that's indirectly involved with these people. And they started asking questions like, what are we going to offer? Are we going to be able to pay them? Those kind of things. And I felt like I was in I was buying a used car. You know how people go, sometimes you'll go to, like, say you're interested in buying a Toyota, and you'll go to one Toyota dealership and, you'll negotiate with them, and then you'll go to another Toyota dealership and you'll negotiate with them. Say, oh, I was just at Bob's Toyota down the street, and I could get, they offered me $2,000 less than you. Yeah. In this case, it's more. So I said, well, let me figure out what's going on here. So I kind of figured out what game the operatives were playing and what game the Rothschilds were playing. Through the course of a lot of investigating and listening to a lot of phone calls last night and this morning, and I can't really disclose 100% what everybody's trying to do. The Rothschilds did exactly what I thought they were going to do. Exactly what I thought they were going to do. That is so predictable. I mean, I was just waiting until that happened. Very, very predictable there. So they just decided that they were going to cut out the middleman, and not pay those people in the middle, whether it's the black nobility or it's the SSP on the other side, the handlers of all handlers, so to speak, or the anti-silent circle, or, and they could just go direct to the operatives, and they figured they could save themselves some money. But in reality, where were they going to get this money?
I don't know.
I don't know either, but here was the plan. If you have noticed and you're watching worldwide markets today, you probably noticed a little bit of a dip in the beginning as the markets opened. Their intention was to drain all the money out of the stock markets and use that money to pay the operatives. However, that's kind of a flawed model. It's like me raiding my change jar and hoping to buy a new car. My jar is not that big, guys. And I'm sure that jar is not that big these days either, because there were a lot of margin calls. Those margin accounts, which are utilized to predominantly buy a significant portion of stocks and bonds on behalf of hedge funds and banks and other groups, just aren't there anymore. So there's not a whole lot of real money in the markets right now. If you have a pension fund or something like that, or you're investing in the markets, it's nothing to do with you personally. I'm talking about they need hundreds of billions of dollars to even get started with these guys. And even if they did that, the things that they would order them to do also cost significant money, such as running of governments worldwide. And everybody is in the hole. I mean, if we were just to take the United Kingdom, we were to take Europe, the European Union, China, and the U.S., And just those places alone, I mean, you're talking about trillions of dollars that are needed to make those operations happen. Not only that, the world war that they would like to have and the Greater Israel project that they would like to have also costs hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars. So it's kind of a flawed model, but they probably figured they could get enough to keep them on the hook. But still then, what are you going to have them do?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like they don't think of the next step. They don't think of a complete plan. It's just to get them a little further, kick the can down the road a little bit.
But it's exactly to kick the can down the road a little bit. So the kicking of the can, these guys are well aware of it. Now, when I say operatives, I'm not just talking about your Jason Bourne kind of guys. There's those guys in there too, but there's also financial operatives. These are the ones that, are the compliance divisions of banks. These are the ones that work in the back office of banks. These are the guys that run all the politicians. Those are the guys and ladies, because there's men and women that do this. And there is millions of them. There's not just, we're not just talking about a group of 10 people here. We're talking about millions of people worldwide that have been promised big money to do big things, have gotten the job done to a degree, right or wrong, and not gotten paid.
Right.
So they told them that Rothschild said, their representative said, from Monarch Military, said that they would like them to get started immediately, though. Not wait till Friday night, till they got paid. And they absolutely gave them back a resounding no.
Good.
I know. So good for them.
Yeah.
So in the interim, things that we're seeing. We are seeing a ceasefire being talked about all over the Middle East right now. We are also talking about the Hezbollah pulling out of Iraq. It's a specific division of the Hezbollah. We are talking about Israel's Smotrich channel, which is channel 12, reporting from the Treasury of Israel that there is talk of a ceasefire, and then they kind of throw in there, well, we didn't even achieve our objective, that was born on the blood of our warriors, quote unquote, on this channel. So we're not seeing it worldwide yet, but you can find the information around. I'm getting it obviously from Agent M and other people there that are there on the ground in all the talks that have been had. There was also a meeting on Monday in the airport in Baghdad, which shut down the airport for approximately 30 minutes to an hour. Now, I do want to talk about airport meetings for a reason. So the reason why these guys go up in the air and fly around in planes and have meetings in planes. And they also have meetings in international airports and under international airports is because much like the cities of Washington, D.C., Tel Aviv, the city of London, Beijing, Moscow, et cetera, around the world, these are an island unto themselves. So the second you walk into an international airport anywhere in the world, you are now on foreign soil. You are no longer in a country. You are in the country of the air, literally. Now, this was done by Bush Sr. Back in, I want to say, the mid-70s is when he had declared all of these spaces, including above, I think it's 28,000 feet in the air, to be his land, the kingdom of Bush. I'm not kidding. Not joking in any way, shape, or form. They also did the same thing with the sea and sea travel. That's why when you go a mile offshore from your respective country, now you are at sea.
Yeah.
So you are in the kingdom of sea, SEA. At that point. That's what they call international waters, just like the international airport. You are in the country of international sea. Still run Right. Still run by at the time, it was the Order of the Black Sun and the person that held the position of Black Eagle, or also known as Black Dragon.
So Kim, what's the point of that though? Like, why would they declare those areas international? Is it so they don't have to follow the rules?
Because when you operate there, you're not operating on behalf of your country. So as an example, we ever wonder why we have something called TSA or the security agencies in airports, and they're worldwide, and they typically don't come from those respective governments. Mm. You're in somebody else's country, somebody else's territory, and under somebody else's rules. Well, you were anyway. Mm-hmm. That's why the FAA basically is employed to govern the entire world while you're in the air. So if you are flying in a plane, you are in the kingdom of Bush.
Still?
No.
Okay.
Not as of the last few days, but that's why they do this. Oftentimes what we'll see is when the Black Sun or any operatives that work for the Black Sun are orchestrating something that is not official in a country, they will pull people aside for questioning. That happens a lot in airports. They have the right to pull anybody aside for any reason, or yellow tag your boarding ticket or whatever it is, so that you get the full, let's just say the full experience of going through security at the airport, completed every part of your body and the whole thing. Oftentimes, instead of making an official arrest, so one of the ways that agencies recruit people as an asset into their agency, but not officially, but moreover into the order as an asset of the Order of the Black Sun, as an example, is they will pull them aside in an airport, tell them that they're being arrested. They will tell them what they've done wrong, and they'll pull anything out of your file. It can be, oh, you forgot to water your lawn and the HOA filed something with the FBI or something. I mean, they'll just make it up. Mm-hmm. And it's part of the reason why I say if I'm going to do anything, whether it's own a company or do anything, I have to do it 100% clean, without flaw, because I can't give them a reason to come after people like me. So, but if you are a target and they want you as an asset to work for them, that's where they'll get you, is at the airport. So they'll pull you aside, questioning, tell you about all the tax refunds you did wrong or something like that, and then they'll give you a deal, make you a deal. And the deal usually goes like this: well, we'll keep you out of jail. Now, the second you leave this airport, you're out of our territory, and, we can protect you. We will save you from your problems. We'll keep you out of jail. But here's what you have to do for us. Now, this goes for heads of state. This goes for other people's agencies. This goes for anyone, anywhere that is not claimed or owned by one group or another. Mm-hmm. So if they wanted to talk to you, Sunny, that's where they'd do it.
And I believe they've tried in the past, but I did not go where they wanted me to go.
Exactly.
In an international airport. It happened in Vegas.
Really?
Yeah. Do you remember it was like a year and a half ago? There was something that came over the PA and said, Sonny, your family really wants, well, they didn't say Sonny, Escort or whatever. Your family is on the line. It's urgent. And I'm like, I just talked to my dad. I just talked to my husband. Nobody's reaching out to me now. And I just had a weird feeling. I was like, I'm not going. I'm not doing that.
Oh, that was when you went to the NAB.
Was it?
Is that when it was?
I don't know. But I was going to Vegas. I was in Vegas. No, I don't think so, because my kids were with me, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but it was something else.
Well, you knew they didn't want to talk to you over there. You weren't going to speak to somebody there. And those days are kind of over anyway, with the advent of cell phones, which have been around for a little bit. So, but, you see how kind of antiquated and how weird that is. Now, a normal person probably would have been like, oh, maybe they forgot my cell phone number, and they would have went with them. Or they'd say, come to the customer service desk, you need to, check your boarding pass or something like that. And then they get you.
Yeah. Yeah, I could
They
just
take
tell
you.
something was off with it. I'm like, no, I'm going to get on my flight.
Yeah.
And didn't go.
Yeah.
So.
But this happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So just as a little heads up, they do not own the airports anymore. They do not own the air. They do not own the land. They do not own the sea. And they do not own those individual cities anymore. They are not part of their asset base anymore.
Good.
But it came up because it's something that they were looking for. The black nobility families, or the anti-silent circle, so to speak, were looking for that. They were looking to see if they could do something with it. And the answer to the question was no. So where are we at with them? What it appears to be is there's going to be a little operation. I announced this morning to the right people on the right phones that I'm going to play on the side of the operatives, because I can see what they're doing and I can see what the rotten children are doing, which I can't stand them anyway, and they hate me. This is a mutual thing. And I know that they don't have any capacity to perform this function. And really, truthfully, if they did, where would the operatives be from there on out? They kind of just lost their freedom, because they're right back with the same crazy people that a few layers away were ruling them in the first place, a few years ago.
Yeah. So,
I am going to play the game. I'm going to get involved there, and I'm going to play it right. And the Rothschilds will not be getting any money out of the markets. And even if they did, it would have been a pittance, because you're talking millions of people.
So you said, Kim, that there was a dip in the market. Did you have to do something to prevent it from going down further, or was that all?
Yeah, there was an old comm line that they were using to not only the U.S. market, but it went to other markets. It was a byproduct of a program that wasn't really functioning anymore, but they still had a line, like a comm line, where they could reach in. That was left there. I call them a pin. It's like having an attachment to something, attaching a line to something. And it came from initially a program under Echelon called Stingray. Now, Stingray was sold to every market worldwide. It was an NSA program. You can look it up, Stingray. And as a almost like a security or a protection software, kind of like your McAfee and your Norton for your computer. And obviously security equals control. So they had implemented a few backdoors into the markets, and the Rothschild family, Etal and Monarch, had found them. So that should actually stop them from doing that, unless it's a natural occurrence, which means that the markets are out of money.
Yeah.
But they were using that line to prop up the markets, and also wanted to use that line to crash the markets. I believe that next they're going to try to go after cryptocurrencies and the real money that's left in the crypto markets. So we're already on that this afternoon. That's on my list of things to do, just in case. I'm not a fan of cryptocurrency anyway. I've told you that. I've told you I know the NSA and DARPA and SSP hold all the node keys for those. They could rip that peer-to-peer network right out from underneath you, that blockchain network right out from underneath you at any given moment in time. They use it for operational funds, so you make an investment in there. If it's a significant investment, you might only have access to 10 or 20%, maybe 15% of your funds. If you're a small investor, they could care less about you. You're kind of pushed to the side. They might take pennies out of you, or they'll do a big dip in the market. You'll see that happen a lot. It'll go up to $60,000 a Bitcoin and then down to like 30, and that's when they siphon all that money off to the side to run black operations worldwide. That's what it is. Essentially, it's not an investment for you. It's not peer-to-peer, so you can get out of the banking system. That is a complete and total lie. Okay. So let's talk chemtrails. It's been annoying as all get out for me over here, I can tell you that. But on Monday, Chemtrail Man, he is part American citizen and Malaysian citizen. He was given his American citizenship by Obama during the Obama administration. And since then, he has taken up shop on a place called Socotra Island. Now, for those of you that don't remember, we talked about this little island before in the past. Socotra Island is right off the coast of Yemen.
Okay.
And what's going on in Yemen these days? It's a little island out there. You can see where that's at. And Socotra Island had some remnants of things that we found there that were tied to what is called the overworld, or the 13th realm. So we know about the 12 universes, but this would be the 13th universe called the overworld, which kind of was an overlay over all. This is what the SSP was going for, that access. So I call him the Chemtrail King. I don't know what else to call him.
But it's one guy. One guy.
One guy was in charge of that those operations worldwide. So if you have been on planet Earth, which I'm assuming all of you have been recently, you have been seeing giant X's in the sky, a ridiculous amount of them over the last few weeks. I mean, it has been insane. Yeah, we used to see a little line here, a little line there, and then all of a sudden it just exploded into a massive amount of X's all over the sky, everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Here it was terrible. This is that cough that people can't get rid of. This was going to be the tie to disease X. They are a combination of particles of dark crystal shards, essentially, nanoparticles and femtoparticles, and they wanted to connect that to that facility and to the overworld. They are also what I call dark metamaterials, which are dark matter, dark energy, hyperconductors.
Mm-hmm.
So you would inhale them in your body. This is the plan. And then they would go to town on their systems there. There was a smaller facility also near the Dazo, it's called the Dazo, D-A-Z-O, cave carvings or something like that in China. It's in Chongqing, China. So they were working together to basically promote disease X everywhere.
And that's why they were doing the X, like a literal X in the sky?
Yeah.
Or was that a symbol for something? Is that them trying to tell us what they're doing? Like, what? Why?
I guess so. I guess so. We never saw X's before. I mean, we might have seen, nice little lattice work that looked like woven fabric. And, and over last summer, there were certain areas of California where it was really bad. And they had their test sites and their test zone. But this guy here got orders to do this. Now, Monday afternoon, when he was released as an asset, he went into a full-on panic. Because none of those people that fly those planes, none of the companies they employed, none of the agencies that were flying those planes worldwide had gotten paid yet. So now you have a bunch of angry operatives underneath your downline that you can't pay. Billions. And I mean, his bill was probably well over, I'd say around $700 billion or more.
Oh my goodness.
For this wonderful display of beep, that they've been spraying on us. I mean, it's been terrible. It was terrible here.
It was bad here, and it's not usually that bad here, but it was bad here.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not that bad here. I mean, we're in one of their zones, but when people aren't complying with what they want, I guess that's what they do. They spray you like a cockroach.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So last I had heard, and this was before he was no longer with us and that facility is gone. But last I had heard, prior to that happening, Rothschild had also called him and promised him that they would take over the payments. We're so sorry they dropped you like a hot potato. We're here to help because we're just we're the good Luciferian, Khazarian mafia people. We are. And we want to help you, get you out of your mess. And so that's why he continued over the last couple of days, because that's what they asked him to do. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing that they said to the operatives. Just keep doing the job. This guy just bought it. That's all. So by yesterday morning, he and it was no more. Now, best we could tell is he had actually put out orders probably for the next, I think about 6 or 7 days, depending on where you are in the world, to continue this. But if you are a chemtrail spraying agency or government or operative, I would suggest you try to check in with this man and confirm what it is I said and that he is no longer there.
Did he know, Kim, and also the people below him, what they were doing? Like, is there any innocence in here at all, or did they know they were killing people by spraying this?
Well, they try to convince the agency people and whatnot. They're just pilots, right? They fly planes.
Yeah.
They tell them it's cloud seeding. They tell them it's other things. The handling of the materials is a little odd and a little off, for sure. Mm-hmm. It's done a little differently than your atypical cloud seeding, those types of things. I'd say they suspected it, but, there's been no money and we've got a chance to make some money, so we're going to do it. I would absolutely tell you that China's deep state is 100% aware of what they were doing. Yeah. And there were 5 ancillary generals there that we got as well. They are what you consider Rothschild family, the Lee family over there. Okay. Still going on with their plans of exterminating, all of us pests off their special planet, which they don't own anymore. So that is where the chemtrail king was found. How long is this going to take? How many more storage facilities do they have? We've been looking. How long are they going to fly still? It looks like a matter of 6 to 7 days. There is nothing left coming out of China. That was where the major production of these things was. So I don't know how much they moved in the interim. We're still looking. It's hard to find now that we know the consistency, it's a little bit easier to detect it. We were looking for the wrong things in some cases. So if you have a satellite system, which we obviously do, if you have a satellite system, you can run a scan, for example, over an area of land and determine down to 5 kilometers, if you're setting your parameters to gold, or you're setting it for lead, or you're setting it for, whatever it is you're looking for, you can then detect it. So if we're looking for one thing and we're, graphene oxide or whatever it is that they're saying is in this stuff, I'm going to detect that. I'm not going to detect this type of metamaterial or these types of crystals. That's why some people have reported their throat hurt so bad it felt like they ate shards of glass. So that's the reason why. Okay, covered meetings in airports, covered chemtrails. Let's talk about one more thing, because this is a question for me that's come up from several people on our Telegram chat, which I'm so excited when our community comes out because now we can chat there. But they said that they want financial freedom. This is what people are talking about, financial freedom. So I thought it would be good for us to just take a few moments. I wanted to do it on a whiteboard today, but I didn't make it. There's too much going on. But financial freedom. Mm-hmm. Now, Sunny, I'm going to ask you, because your view of financial freedom versus a person that's in, Uganda might be different, but it'll give us a good way to take a look at it. So what do you consider financial freedom?
Being able to spend time with the people that I care about, doing work that I love to do, and not having to worry about money constantly. Just being able to enjoy life. And that doesn't mean extravagant. That just means not having to, worry about bills coming due, and just being more people focused as opposed to money focused, and just enjoying yourself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are a lot of people that would see it differently as well, especially in the Western world, Europe, Western Europe and Western America. the freedom to buy anything they want, the freedom to get a yacht, the freedom from paying a mortgage, the freedom from, these are all things that they would consider. But at the base root of financial freedom, I would say, and you can, disagree with me and fill in the blanks here, people need food, shelter, or, for the most part, some sort or another. Family, you want to spend time with others. You want to stay at home with your kids if you want to, that kind of thing. And yeah, you're still willing to work, which a lot of people still would. Maybe retirement age would change or something like that in different countries. But most of the people, not all, have taken jobs and are in fields because maybe they went to college 10 years ago for this or 20 years ago for this, and they have realized it's not their life calling, or they've changed.
Sure.
Other people have found things like new medical technologies, new way of treating things. And I was talking about that with somebody in our production meeting yesterday, where they could definitely see themselves as a practitioner making an income doing this, but they're being refused by the insurance companies who don't agree. They don't want to pay for that kind of thing, or it takes forever to get approved. And then they go out of business, and that's actually structured that way. So they can't actually make the money doing things they love, those types of things. But right now we have money in the world. Money is required for your existence pretty much anywhere, not everywhere, but in most of the world to some degree. There are plenty of people that live off the grid. They grow their own food. They have built their own shelter. They're doing their own thing out there. But it also excludes you from doing other things like maybe attending a concert or a symphony or, participating in other forms of life. But maybe that's not important to those people. But, if you want to have a cell phone, you want to have, you got to get it somehow. You got to have it. So, ultimately, we would say that financial freedom, once you get past all the things, in life that maybe you never had an opportunity to do or had an opportunity to buy, and you want those things. You see the things, I've always wanted that thing. It can be a Ferrari, it could be anything. And then there are a number of people in this world that will look at that as a want, a need. And if I could buy one of those and not go into severe debt, this is what they're saying to themselves, then I would buy that, totally buy that. They may want to not work for 6 months, maybe that's it. 99.9% of the human beings on the planet would be bored to death within 6 months.
Right. That's what I was thinking. You get all this stuff, but it doesn't mean anything. It's stuff.
Well, and prior to doing what we're doing now, I had some successful companies. I mean, what I consider to be successful within the glass ceiling parameters, of course, every time I got too high, I would definitely get knocked down. But that's the way it was for me. It didn't matter how good I was at anything, or they would come in and buy out my company or take over my company or that kind of thing. And they would give me a certain amount of money, even though it was not the 10-year projection, percentages that I was looking for. But okay, it was a good living, and it was millions of dollars. And I had a Porsche. I've had basically every sports car you can possibly imagine on the planet. Didn't like the Lamborghini, drove it, didn't want it. Not because I just felt like it was not good engineering, I liked the German engineering better. Every BMW out there, did not get my Aston Martin 1 in 77, which was on my list.
Is that a car?
Didn't get that. As is a car.
Okay.
There's only 77 of them made, allegedly at the time.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I could go into all the specifications. I'm that girl. I pretty much could travel where I wanted to go, take my daughter, do whatever I wanted, buy anything I wanted, I was very comfortable. I mean, I wasn't Bill Gates by any stretch of the imagination, nor do I ever want to be. But, I could pretty much, if I said I wanted that car, I wanted that house, or I wanted this, I could have it within reason. I never really cared to have a $30 million house or anything like that. It's just not me. So I could say I've been all the way up, and I can say I've been all the way down. And, there are things I would say that I would consider financial freedom in my life. Number one, the ability to at least spend a couple of years with my daughter when she was first born and not have to work or get a nanny or anything like that, to some degree, or work less, work maybe part-time, because I'm one of those people that loves to work. Yeah. I mean, I do. That would be my idea of financial freedom. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are drowning in the debt system. And there are other people on the internet recently, I think it was Ben Fulford, that said we all need to stop paying all our debts or all our bills all at the same time. Now, there are people that just won't do that. Because the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to lose your electricity. And in some places in the world right now, it's very cold. In some places in the world, it's very hot. So we like to have air conditioning, and we like to have a fan going at least, in some places, and, heat. So they are going to shut you off. I don't care if everybody in the country stopped paying their bills. They're going to shut you off, and they're not going to turn it back on. It's part of a control system and a control structure. So is that a possibility? Not really. It could be for you if you don't mind. I can tell you your local Walmart or large department store is going to run out of candles pretty quick. And it's only going to be a matter of time before not all, but probably at least 75% of the people decide to pay that bill. And then you just lost the game.
Yeah.
I would say in the future, because we currently have a current infrastructure that is going to take time to change. Things that I would look at, if somebody said to me, I want financial freedom for the world. Now, how would I go about achieving this task? I would have to look at natural gas. I'm going to have to look at the current electric grid worldwide. I'm going to have to see how that's done. I'm going to have to look at basic, what we consider Western world basic needs, If not, how does the rest of the world heat their, properties in the winter? We're talking lumber or wood. I don't know why we have a different name in America than everybody else in the English-speaking world does, but, lumber or wood, I'm going to need to look at that. I'm going to need to see how that supply chain looks, that kind of thing. I'm going to need to look at water. I'm going to need to look at water supply, because most people in the Western world are on city water supply in certain places that are more rural on the African continent, because they also have cities with water. I know everybody wants to feed the starving people of Africa, but not everybody in Africa is starving, not, like they portrayed on the television. Yes, there are infrastructure issues and agreements that were made for infrastructure that never came to fruition. I would say their systems are not kept well, but neither are our systems in America. I mean, I have stayed in hotels in Western Europe where I turned on the water to have a bath and it was brown. So I can tell you that it happens. It happens everywhere in the world. Our infrastructure is breaking down and nobody wants to fix it. So I'm going to now look at that. I'm going to look at water and how we're going to get water into homes that have that water supply. And I'm going to have to try to figure out a way to do it for free. Because that would be, basic needs would be the first thing. Also food. How do farmers, what does it really cost to grow tomatoes? So now I'm going to need to look at those seeds and chemical companies, and going to need to find a way to provide them all with seeds that will regenerate. That's a positive thing. But you have to take a look at everything that is a human need and every industry that is attached to that human need in order to provide what you would call financial freedom. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of moving parts there when you think about the bills you pay. It's not just about credit card debts. It's not just about the mortgage system. There has to be a way for you to buy a house and maybe not owe debt. Mm-hmm. There has to be something in place. Now we take a look at all the banks, and unless they're willing to convert to a service provider only system, which we would pay, we need to store that money somewhere. It needs to go somewhere. If need be, we're going to have to build different infrastructure for that, which can be done as well. But you see my point. Yeah. There is a lot of moving parts to what you consider to be financial freedom. Mm-hmm. Think about all of the people that maybe work for the electric company. There's billions of those people, or millions, at least hundreds of millions of people that work for an electric company or another worldwide. Yeah. It's not their fault. They're just making a certain amount of money to feed their families, and, it's what they do. And then they look forward to their pensions and maybe retire, just like you, just like everybody. Some of them like their job, some of them don't. There should be, it's a very dangerous job, especially for the guys that climb the poles, and, that's very high voltage, all that. So there's a lot of things to consider, what kind of industry are these people going to work in if something like that were to change? How many people need to be hired to install neutrino boxes and or maintain them, as a conversion? So these are all a part. The entire care structure is all about financial freedom, and then eventually freedom from money in totality, because you really don't. At some point in time, the entire 8 billion people will figure out they don't actually need it. Mm-hmm. But that's going to be a lot of changing, a lot of unprogramming the masses to understand that there's a system that works. And the thing is you have to prove to them that you're going to thrive in a different way first. Mm-hmm. You're going to be the first 100,000, 200,000 people that are going to show people, look, we're doing great. I have electricity in my house. All my lamps are turning on. My stove's working. This is working. My air conditioner's working. We're just great. Yeah. So it takes time, but we also have to think about all of the people and all of the industries that would change if we were to do something like that. So it's a consideration. Don't get me wrong. We are interested in financial freedom. The definition of financial freedom on a short-term basis is probably one thing. The definition on a long-term basis is another thing. And then depending on what country you are in the world, that changes. So out of the 200 and some odd countries, not all of them are UN members, that definition, if we go to do the people on the street interviews, do you remember those on the Late Show? And people on the street, and we start talking to the people on the street. What does financial freedom mean to you? Maybe this is a good task for our field messengers to do too, so you can get a better understanding. Just ask people if they're willing to talk to you about it. A lot of people probably think it would be fun, to be on the news. And I guarantee you we're not going to get the same answer no matter where you go. Right. You're not even going to get the same answer from you, Sonny, than I would if I asked your neighbor the same question. Right. So, ultimately, what I see it as is a whole different way of getting our basic needs met, and then some of our wants too. Not being stressed if they're going to shut off your electricity or you can't take your child to the doctor or the dentist when they need help, or, those are the things that stress us parents out, or even yourself, if you've ever had a toothache or a tooth pain or anything like that. I mean, there's nothing worse than not having the ability to go to a dentist and have it addressed. So you're coming up with all of these alternative remedies and stuff, but you know, it will get better. But I described life assurance to probably 25% of the things we took into consideration. But we're also looking at all of these these are all systems. And if you've been around us for a while, I gave you a list of industries that were completely controlled by the order. It was a big, long sheet of paper, 6 foot long. I talk about it all the time because it's a good reference for you to understand everything that they controlled and how every single thing that they controlled is not to your benefit. You know, other things we have discovered as well, you join a religion, a church, and there's hundreds and then thousands of subsectors of these. You know, it's not just Muslim, Christianity, Catholicism, Buddhism, you know, and Judaism, and you could probably name about 5 to 10 on your hand, most people. There's all the subsectors, and what about Taoism and all the other things that people do? Well, every time you join one of these organizations, as you know, if you have been to a church of any sort or a temple, they always pass around that collection plate. Mm-hmm. And in some countries, I don't know if it's still this way, but about 10 years ago or so, for example, like Austria. In Austria, it was mandatory that you pay 10% of your salary to the Catholic Church. Mandatory. Mm-hmm. And yes, so whether you were Catholic or not, it didn't make a difference. Now, there's a reason for that. This is another thing we've discovered in the last 48 hours. When you join a church, you become collateralized again. So you are now a Lutheran, you are now a Catholic, you are now a Baptist, you are now, you know, and now you can be recollateralized on top of the other collateral pools that we already talked to you about. You are also cargo on an airplane as far as insurance is concerned. Yeah. Costs 10% to issue those derivatives and bonds against you. And so that's why your tithing has to be 10%. No matter where you go, you could be a Mormon, you could be, you know, you could be a Catholic, but that's the suggested amount. And they'll suggest it to you consistently. And if you cannot pay this 10%, I know, Sonny, don't get mad. If you can't pay it, then you can work it off and you can volunteer. Huh?
No, I was going to say, I mean, they promote it as being something God wants you to do. This is why I have such a big problem with it, right?
Yeah.
It's really frustrating. So the question I was going to ask though is about membership, because I think they call them members, most churches. That's what I'm familiar with.
Parishioners.
So I always had that question is, why would I become a member versus just attend? Like the church my husband and I, my whole family would go to, we never went through the membership process. So is that what they mean by, the people that they consider collateral?
That's why they try to get you to be a member. And I'm not saying that the pastor knows about this or the the priest or whatever, probably not. And most of them get into this field because they truly do love God and they want to do the right thing. Not all of them are evil. I know the stories that you hear, and some of those stories are true, but I know that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show. And not to say they're not true. I know it just kind of gave me a flash. Do I talk about that today? No, because this will go on for a few hours and we don't want to talk about that today. But the point is that, yes, that's why they have membership processes. Some religions are a little bit more strict on that. You have to be a member to, attend, for example, a Bible study, or you have to be a member in order to attend the holiday celebration, Shabbat, or something like that, dinner or something that they have there with the church. And then they kind of look at you funny if you show up enough times and you don't become a member. It's kind of weird. And that's one thing that I've experienced. And I'm not saying all churches are the same or all, but there always seemed to be this underlying hierarchy. I don't know if you felt that, Sunny, sometimes, if you did get involved with the community, with your church or local church, and, there were those people, like this is the, maybe the pastor's wife, or this is the group that, is involved with the youth group. And these are the people that always there when there's a fundraiser or a fair or something. They're just like this little clique of people. I call it a clique that are almost see themselves as more important. Now, maybe that's because they're told that, so that they continue to do the things they're doing or something. I'm not sure, but I don't know. I just felt the dynamic was always a little weird.
Well, anyone can get caught up in their own ego, right?
Yeah,
you got to be the top
true.
of something, be the top of your church, the top of whatever, whatever activity you're doing.
Yeah, and sometimes on top of all of the parishioners too. I've seen that happen a lot.
There's definitely corruption in churches. I'm not all of them necessarily, but just my limited experience in getting more involved in churches in the past, I felt that a lot of times they had more problems than people that weren't in the church that were doing just secular jobs. I was like, because more is expected, right? Yeah. You're not supposed to have petty fights in a church. Why are you doing that? You should know better. That's what you taught us on Sunday, right? So I don't know if there's just built up expectations because of that, but I found a lot of times it was just as catty, if not more. I was like, ooh, I don't think I want to be part of this.
Yeah.
But every church is different and every situation is different, but yeah.
Well, yeah. And I used to say, and it wasn't my saying, but someone had said it to me, and I don't remember where it originated, but standing in a church, or being in a church or a temple, or, insert, whatever you call the house of worship here, doesn't make you a Christian, a Jew, any more than standing in your garage will make you a car.
I've heard that too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's one of my favorites. It's on my list of favorite things that, sayings. And I'm like, wow, I heard that and I was like, God, that's so true. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And the good news is that I can find God or source in my garage. I can find it in my house. I can find it under a tree. I can find it out in the middle of the woods. I don't need to talk to those mean girls. And I call them the mean girls. They might be ladies, but they certainly act like the mean girls, sometimes, but I don't know, I just think it's a personal choice and a decision for people. If that's what makes you happy, then do it. But the good news is that becoming a member of a church or a temple does not make you collateral anymore. So congratulations, guys.
So don't feel like you got to pay that 10%.
Yeah. Don't feel obligated. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are a lot of churches and temples and mosques and so on and so forth out there that do a lot of good things for a lot of good people. And the people there are not bad people. They are there to, be with Allah, God, however, Yeshua, Jesus, however you want to say, you're all reaching the same place. It's the intent behind what you're doing and why you're there. So, but that was one of the other things that came up in the last 48 hours. I mean, anytime you could be a member of the American Pediatric Association and you were also collateralized as a doctor. I mean, it was crazy. I know.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about all the things you pay membership to, gym memberships and this and that.
Homeowners associations. I got one of those.
Homeowners association. Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's all a system. It's system after system after system. And people ask like, well, how long before we have financial freedom? That kind of thing. But what is it really?
Yeah.
You might have temporary financial relief, but that's not financial freedom.
Yeah.
There's just a lot more to it than meets the eye, is what I'm saying. And I'm asking you, when you ask that question and you ask yourself that question, that is the beginning of your journey into understanding what it would be like to be on the think tank or a think tank, a sub-think tank of care. Mm-hmm. Because we have to look at every single aspect of everything. And it's not just me, it's other people that are doing it too. And it also you. You know, there's a lot of little groups that have formed since the new way of doing things here. And they are working together, trying to figure out a better system and a better way for people. We've developed an emergency system, you know, in a marketplace. Well, okay, everybody talk to everybody and help each other out. And, you know, they've worked very, very hard not to, how do I say it, to make it extremely difficult for you to be self-sufficient, independent, interdependent, which is different than being codependent. They made every human walking this earth codependent on the system. Yep. So if you're asking me what I see as freedom, total freedom, that is an interdependent world. And what I mean by interdependent, it means you and I work together to take care of one another. Right. You know, to supply goods and services to one another, to help raise our kids together in the right way, to, you know, have opportunities, medical freedom and other opportunities out there. That's what it means to financial freedom to me. I mean, an interdependent, sovereign world where you are not a codependent on a system, any of them, any of the ones on the long list of things that are on that chart. And I'll have to redisperse that so that that you can see it and you can read it a little bit more clearly. But there's a lot on there. Mm-hmm. And then there's other sub-industries. So that's what financial freedom means to me. And I think that is our ultimate goal, to not have the world dependent on me. Don't want that either. That's not a job I want. But to help people become sovereign, truly sovereign, not living in a system, but yet being interdependent with others in other countries and other nations. So on that note, I have a little bit of an update on the marketplace. We finally got our store owner software integrated early this morning. I'm so excited about that. Yeah, I even have my test store up and running. I sell seashells by the seashore, if you remember, in my test store. And I am
from Durango. Yeah,
and I sell pockets full of sunshine, you know, and a few other things. But it's just a test to see if the products are integrating and everything. Yeah. But I just thought you might find that kind of fun. So there are a few things we're trying to set up so that people can find you easier. For example, store fronts by country, store fronts by area, continent, so that if you are a farm in the U.S., you're not getting orders from Uganda, you know, that kind of, when you can't fulfill them. Obviously, by the time it got there, there's no products in there that are usable anymore. So we want to make sure that people can find each other, you know, in a manner where, you know, some things will be worldwide. Some things won't be. It's impossible to be. So we're working on that aspect and categorizing people into the right places. Products will go into every category we have. So you'll be in the worldwide marketplace. And then you just put where this product will ship to, that kind of thing. So if you're selling jewelry or bracelets or whatever it is, healings, for example, some people do a lot of remote work there. You know, you can be listed in there as you'll work worldwide. Mm-hmm. Just remember what time in the morning you'll have to get up for a potential reading sometimes, or that you're not going to bed till very late tonight. So that's the only thing that, you know, people would look at. But other than that, you know, you can connect a calendar to that so people can book right themselves, those types of things, and make it easier. So we're just working on some of those fine-tuned details so people know that I can only sell seashells by the seashore here in America. No, I'm just kidding. But so that's going well. Our new apps, our new website is going very well as well. We had a few little technical errors with the bulk uploading over the last couple of days, 48 hours. We should have that finished by Friday. So we're working very hard with our technical team and everyone to get that done. But we had a little wonky thing happen last night where, but so it's fine. It might just cause another day or two. When that does launch, we are not going to pull ourselves off of social media for sure. The news for probably a week to 2 weeks will still be both on the app and also on YouTube on time. For example, YouTube and Rumble on time. And then we're going to probably eventually put the current day news on there, and it'll be about a week behind on, so you'll still be able to share it with other people. Right. And I think that that's really important. So we're looking forward to that as well. So yeah, that's just a quick little update. So I'm sorry if everybody's a little bit disappointed that it's not there today, but we're solving technical issues and doing all sorts of other things, as you can see. And yeah, working hard. So that's pretty much the update for Wednesday. I hope to see you actually on Friday.
Oh, good.
Or you to see me on Friday, I should say.
Yeah, you see me all the time.
Yeah.
But for us to see you.
I was working on it this morning. There was a few things that came up that I had to take care of. Yeah. And I just didn't make it.
That's okay.
So I apologize for that. Yeah. But I'm pretty much committed to trying to make it at least once a week. And awesome. So I need to make it this week.
Okay. All right.
So with that being said, have a happy Wednesday, and I will see everybody hopefully on Friday.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, Sunny.
That wraps up today's news update. Please share UNN with your friends and family. We need everyone to come together and help restore our planet. When news happens in your area, record it and share it with us so we can help you share it with the world. Remember, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm Sunny Galt. Join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the real news.